Hey folks, guess what? We hardworking Americans and freedom lovers worldwide have a problem, and it's a big problem. We live in a country where the rule of law is a thing of the past. You can't use the law anymore to protect yourself. The majority of courts are 100% corrupt and in collusion with the powers that be to strip you of your assets, your freedom, and even your peace of mind. If you've been in court, you know that. If you haven't yet, then take this as a dire warning. Right now, we have a nationwide institutionalized criminal enterprise whereby the justice system is colluding with the financial and the legal sector to steal homes from people with fraudulent foreclosures, using fake documents to violate contract law, the UCC, state codes, and federal consumer protection codes. It's an industry bent on making the average hardworking American who is seeking the American dream dirt poor, while accumulating stolen assets in the billions, if not trillions. And the courts are in on it. It's a racket of collusion. All judges and prosecutors are paid by the same party, the state. Now, how is that going to be fair? Most of them are Freemasons to boot. They collude with each other to take from the people to enrich their own enterprise. It's not government for the people. It's a private, commercial, for-profit enterprise. If you doubt that, then look up your county court in Dun & Bradstreet and ask yourself, why do they have a D&B number with a credit rating? Every case that they can create, every prisoner that they can incarcerate, every home that they can foreclose on generates huge profits in the form of takings, and they create bonds, which are then traded in the markets for huge sums. And you expect to get a fair shake in that star chamber? You're delusional. You don't have a chance. Everyone they can drag into court creates huge profits, no matter how small the issue is. And I'm assuming that you already understand that. But look at it this way. The courts are banks for the government looking to keep the stream of customers coming in the front door. What? You planted a garden in your front yard? Zoning violation. Pay up. You're flying a flag that's too big? City code violation. Pay up. You put in new rain gutters and new windows on your house without permission? Building code violation. Pay up. You rolled through a stop sign in the middle of the night when nobody was around. Traffic violation. Pay up. You spanked your kid? Family law violation. We'll just take your kid. Thank you very much. Your husband died and left you without income, and you can't pay your property taxes on the farm that's been in your family for 4 generations? Sorry, we'll take your farm. You get the idea, folks. You are a slave living on the plantation. There is a solution. Let's talk about people power. So I have some very good news for you. There are various solutions. People are rediscovering their power and authority over these criminals. We have been programmed and intimidated to forget that next to our Creator, the people are the source of all law and authority. And it's high time we, the people, rise up and reassume that authority. Public servants have a contract with the people, which is their oath, which all public servants are required to take and have on file. Beyond the oath, they must also have an indemnity bond or performance bond to back them up should they cause any damage in their official duties. Beyond that, any act which is unauthorized by law is labeled ultra vires, and they assume personal liability for the damage that they have caused in those situations. Their bond does not cover ultra vires acts. People across the country are starting to understand this. They are also starting to understand that the so-called courts are largely just a banking operation for the municipal corporations whose rules don't even apply to real people who are not members of those fictional entities. It's the difference between de jure and de facto. Now, ahead in this video, I'm going to be showing you a few examples of how the people have had enough and are rising up and taking matters into their own hands by confronting this evil head-on with law and the power that is inherent in all of us. Let's talk about the National Action Task Force. Let me just give you a brief introduction to one such initiative which is sponsored and promoted by the NATF. NATF is proud to present to you and the world an ecclesiastical jural assembly created to act as an arbitrator of sorts in the form of a finder of fact. Many members have issues with the usurpers of this world and can't get a fair hearing according to the rule of law. The ecclesiastical jural assembly is administered by the members of the ecclesia of the World Mission Church, which is a non-denominational, unincorporated, non-registered body of believers in the written gospel of Jesus the Christ. The overriding theme of World Mission Church is to come out of Babylon. First, what is an ecclesia? The word ecclesia is a Greek word which is translated as the called out ones, or literally the called out. The ecclesia of the World Mission Church is an international network of individuals and ministries of the called out ones who seek first and foremost to honor the two great commandments as taught by Jesus, which are to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. These commandments summarize the essence of the law and the teachings of the prophets. This is from Matthew. The Ecclesiastical Jural Assembly is a fact-finding organ assembled for the purpose of determining the truth of a matter as an arbitrator between members in dispute and or standing. And we stand up for and with believers who have been violated by a tyrannical and abusive, unlawful process. Our processes are lawful and kingdom-minded, while at the same time firmly rooted in history, constitutional law, and organic, natural law of original jurisdiction. Enforcement of findings against transgressors is an entirely separate topic of discussion, which we won't get into here for the sake of time, but know this: there are methods of enforcement that are entirely lawful and effective. More on that in another venue. To learn more, go to natf.world and look for the Fireside Chats page. You can also go to worldmissions.world to learn more about coming out of Babylon and some of these fundamental issues. Now, a little history on how all this evolved. My first exposure to the Jural Assembly concept was the People's One Supreme Court of the County, as assembled by Leroy Schweitzer, Dan Peterson, Rod Skirdahl, and others, were also known as commonly the Montana Freemen. In the mid-90s, I made 2 trips to Montana and spent several days with them on each trip, learning what they were actually doing and poring over the research that they had dug up with the help of others from around the country. They had restored the constitutional authority of Justice Township and had state actors running scared, literally. The local sheriff would go out of his way if he saw them in town to avoid them. It's a long and very empowering story which you need to hear, but this isn't the time. You need to know their story. I'll include links below in the description. So with this newfound knowledge, our group in Colorado at the time started holding our own hearings in common law under constitutional authority. We used a small town's city council chambers. We invited the sheriff, and he sent a deputy to help us keep the peace. The sheriff at the time was a good sheriff and was intrigued by what we were doing and fully supportive. We published notice of the hearing in the paper. State actors were invited, and they attended. Many others who were not invited but read the public notice also showed up out of curiosity and observed while we were conducting quiet title actions on people and property. Afterwards, the state actors in attendance were very complimentary. In fact, one county prosecutor mentioned that if he ever had an issue, he'd like to bring it to this forum for resolution. That's how all this started for me. Now, moving on, another very well organized jural society is the Oregon Statewide Jural Society. You can learn a lot about jural assemblies from their webpage, which we have here. And you are also likely very well aware of the network of state jural assemblies that have formed and are forming with the support of Anna von Reitz. This is a very well-organized effort with a long history, and they are making great inroads. You can learn more about them at their website at this link. Then we have people learning how to create and present a notice of liability. A notice of liability informs public servants of their personal liability for doing harm to the public by enforcing and instituting unauthorized, unconstitutional, ultra vires acts and policies. Mickey Klon is leading an effort to empower people to stand against tyranny. She and her team have presented Maricopa County commissioners and the school board members with notices of liability for egregious support of damaging unconstitutional policies. When these servants were served, and once they realized what was happening, in one instance, they jumped out of their chairs, ran out of the room, turned off the lights, just to give you one example. They didn't want to deal with this. This is serious stuff, folks. Our public servants who are errant in their duties and who are harming the public must be accountable and take on the personal liability for the damage that they are causing. So, you're going to want to look up this video to learn more about that. It's a fascinating discussion. Pause this video and write down the URL before we move on. You can find out more about Mickey Kahn and her projects at bondsforthewin.com. And her webpage is thepeoplesoperationrestoration.com. Then we have Cal Washington heading up the In Power movement, who is serving notices of liability on all those involved in supporting 5G technology, vaccinations, smart meters, and geoengineering. They're focusing on those issues. Look up In Power and Cal Washington at this link. And last but not least, you've seen what's happening after the Charlie Kirk incident. The world is currently experiencing a global revival and a turning back to Jesus Christ, which is the answer to what this world needs. People are realizing this en masse. This worldwide revival is exactly what we need to chase back evil into its hole and take dominion over our territory, which includes rooting out rogue officials and judges who ignore decency and the rule of law. So the timing could not be more perfect for the Ecclesiastical Jurals Assembly, promoted by the NATF and administered by the World Mission Church. Its jurisdiction is global, and its reach is without geographic boundaries. Its authority is timeless and unassailable. So you can see that the tide is turning. That means that now is the time for people like you to rise up, stand up, get involved in taking back our territory and returning it to the rule of law and evicting the dirty, evil usurpers that are trying to dominate and destroy us. Get involved with one or more of these movements. In particular, I would encourage you to join the National Action Task Force and our Fireside Chats support group. You'll find more information at natf.world, worldmissions.world, and our Fireside Chats are on patreon.com/NATF Fireside Chats. Folks, freedom from tyranny is yours if you seek it. Get involved, and I'll see you in the winner's circle. Take care, and God bless.